Hello guys, we are back in new fanfic, and if enjoying this then please share and like. Let's start the fanfic. Damn it. This isn't fair. How the hell am I supposed to take them both on? What makes it even worse is that they both taught me everything I know. At the moment Naruto was jumping through the woods surrounding his home. He was trying to survive attack. His attackers, none other than his sister and brother, Anko and Ibiki, and they were not holding anything back against him. He had a few ways of completing this test. First, was to get the crap utterly kicked out of him by both Ibiki and Anko. This in fact happened to his most of the time when he went against them, either in tandem like this, or solo. When they attacked together, it just ended up happening more often, and normally far quicker. His second option, one that didn't happen that much, was for him to survive the attacks for the time limit set at the start. Today's time limit was 3 hours, and he had been on the run for an hour. So he had to stay alive for another 2 hours before he could be safe. His final option, which has yet to happen in a tandem fight, was to beat both of them, or render them unable to fight. If it was just one of them, he had a chance of doing it, and had done it on a few occasions. He just never has been able to do it when both of them attacked him. Naruto was pulled out of his thoughts when he heard the unmistakable sound of a kunai whistling through the air. He stopped on the branch he was on, and jumped as high as he could, channeling some chakra into his legs. As he jumped, the kunai just barely missed where his chest would have been. Naruto quickly stopped his jump before he went too high, and out in the open above the canopy of the trees by grabbing a branch, and swinging around it, to launching himself to another tree. Landing, he once again took off running, hoping to get a chance to rest, and to plan his own counterattack. Over the last 5 years, Naruto had learned a great deal about tactics, and how to set up ambushes. He had also learned, much to the dismay of the village, how to fully use his kitsune illusion technique. He had even learned to set up small powerful versions of it, perfect for hiding traps. It took a lot of chakra, but he had plenty of it to spare, at least Anko and Ibiki thought he did. All he needed was one chance, just a few seconds, at the most a minute to be able to bring up the illusion. Anko and Ibiki knew this sadly enough, and hardly gave Naruto those chances. Right now Naruto could hear them following him, just out of his normal sight range, but well within enhanced sight, and enhanced hearing range. Damn it, doesn't look like I have a choice, I'm going to have to try something. I'm not going to get anything done by running around. So what to do? They know most of my tricks. But I did spend last night coming up with something that might surprise them. Naruto had been spending a lot of time in the academy just reading books, most of them on how to use and make your own explosive notes, smoke bombs, and exploding pouches. While reading these, he started to come up with his own ideas. Some involved paint bombs, which he loved using in his pranks. One of his favorite ones, that was adopted by the Hokage, was an exploding grenade that sent out hundreds of small makebishi in all directions. If it caught someone by surprise, they would surely die, or be severely injured. The makebishi would fly out at high speeds, and embed themselves into trees, rocks, or whatever happened to be in their path. Naruto liked to call that one his makebishi frag grenade. It has stopped a number of ANBU, and other veteran ninjas from chasing him around before. Not many wanted to be filled with small spiked objects. Another of his recent inventions was a grenade that would produce a bright flash, and also a sound that would cause people to lose all sense of direction, and their equilibrium. When he started making it, Hikari had told him there used to be such things in the past, but no one knew how to make them anymore. So it took Naruto a number of tests, and injuries to finally finish it, which happened to be before his next test with Ibiki and Anko. He had yet to test it out, and thought that Anko and Ibiki would make perfect targets for it. Reaching into a pouch on his hip, he pulled out a small metal cylinder, with a metal bar going down the side, and only being held in place by a small piece of paper. The paper was set up to act just like the parchment that an explosive note would be made out of. He could channel chakra into it, and it would burn away, releasing the bar, and causing the grenade to go off. The bomb could slowly go off, which was done by using very little chakra, or quickly go off by channeling large amounts into it. So Naruto decided to channel just enough chakra into it, to give it a 3-second delay, just enough for Ibiki and Anko to catch up to it. After channeling, Naruto tossed it into the air, and channeled chakra into his legs again to speed away. Anko and Ibiki caught up, and noticed the spinning grenade in midair, and stopped a second too late. Right as they came up to it, the paper burned away in a flash, and a bright white flash, and a deafening bang was heard. The effect was immediate, both were deafened, and blinded, and lost all ability to move around properly. All of which would vanish, with some lingering effects in a few minutes, just enough for what Naruto needed to do. The next sound Naruto heard was Ibiki and Anko cursing, and falling to the floor of the forest. Flash bang test is a success. With that thought, Naruto stopped, and dropped down into some bushes, and vanished into his kitsune illusion. Damn that brat, what the hell did he come up with this time? I can barely walk, let alone stand up. I am going to kill him for this. Damn it Ibiki, why did you have to get him interested in fireworks and explosives? Anko was yelling as loud as she could, and holding her ears, waiting for the ringing to stop. She was mainly yelling, because she was sure Ibiki was having the same problems, and wanted him to hear every word she said. Growling, Ibiki just held his head, and rocked back and forth on his knees waiting for everything to pass. He just hoped it would all pass. Once it did, Naruto was going to pay for this newest trick. After I make him pay for this, running around the village till I am bored should be good enough, he can tell me what the hell this thing was. Then, he could let me give it to the Hokage. I'm damn sure the ANBU and Hunter Nin would love these things. Ibiki was taking this better than Anko. He thought Naruto had a great hobby, even if he used most of it during his pranks. Each one though, had been very useful, and some had been taken into most Konoha shinobi weapon arsenals. Naruto had even made a pretty penny on his own with his hobby. After about 5 minutes, the effect finally wore off, and both slowly got back up to their feet. Damn, now the brat has probably booby-trapped the entire place, or is working on it, damn that fox. So what do we do now? No telling how many of those things he has, and I know he won't use one of his frag grenades today. Could we left him free to try and use everything else? Damn it, I'm starting to regret letting him get into explosives and traps. Naruto, when I find your scrawny I am going to kick it from here to the Hokage's officer. Damn you and your dirty tricks, was all Anko had to say on the subject. Haha, looks like they like the flash bang. I know they are going to get me back for that though. I wish I could hide here the whole time, but have to do something. With that, Naruto pulled out a scroll, and wrote a quick message down on it before closing it back up, and moving from tree to tree, back in the direction of Ibiki and Anko. The whole time the leaves he pasted just moved like a soft breeze blowing through them. Once he got to the area Ibiki and Anko were standing he tossed the scroll at Anko, and watched as she caught and glared at it. If she could find a way, the look she was giving the scroll would set it ablaze. She knew Naruto bragged about his tricks, and had a way of rubbing more salt in the wound with more tricks, often hidden in his scrolls now. Anko glanced at Ibiki, and he had the same worried look on his face at the sight of the scroll. During the solo training matches like this, Naruto would get a leg up, and often give them a scroll, to brag, and make things worse. So they were both a little worried about what he might have cooked up this time. Grabbing a senbon, and attaching it to the end of the scroll, she threw it at a tree, and prepared to see what the scroll said, and did. Once the scroll hit the tree, it unrolled, and had a message written on it from Naruto. Ha ha ha, hope you guys like my newest toy, I call it the Flash Bang, just perfected it last night. So you guys are my first test subjects, and boy was it a success. But I have to admit, I thought you would thank me, Anko Ne-chan, you're the one who taught me to be tricky. Not to mention, I am about as bad as a fox who is hunted. There was a small crude picture of Naruto with whiskers sticking out of his nose here, and giving the victory sign to them. By now, I am already hiding, and getting reading for my next attack. Hopefully you guys will like it just as much as my last one. I just hope you are ready for some other things that I've done. But I guess that is enough talk from me, we only have about 1 hour and 40 some odd minutes left. So be careful, and watch where you step. Naruto. P.S. This scroll will now blow up. Shit. Yells two voices in unison as they read the last part, and started to jump away. Again, they reacted too slow, as the scroll blew up, sending multiple things out of it. The first thing that hit Ibiki and Anko was a bright pink paint. The paint stuck to everything in the area, and would be sure to make them stick out in the forest. The next thing that hit them was some liquid. That wasn't the bad part. The bad part was how the stuff smelled, just like a skunk. Somehow Naruto had managed to combine his paint bombs, and stink bombs into one scroll. Both of which would help him pick them out in the forest like a sore thumb. Oh, he is so dead when I find him. You hear me, Naruto? D-E-A-D. Dead. You better hope this shit washes out of my hair and clothes too. If not, you are going to buy me a new set. Damn, this paint isn't coming out of my hair. Anko was furious. Not only were her clothes and hair turned bright pink as a Haruno's hair, but her skin was stained pink as well. Damn it. My skin too. Damn, this kid has too much time for this. Where the hell does he come up with these ideas? I know he doesn't do these things at home, so he must be doing them at school. That might explain the poor grades. But damn, does Anko look funny with Haruno pink hair. After that went through Ibiki's mind, he let off a laugh, one that had Anko spinning around on her heel, and sending a kunai right at him. Ibiki calming grabbed the kunai out of the air, and spun it around his finger. Calm down, Anko. I know you are pissed. But don't take it out on me. Instead, think of ways to bust his during training. For the flashbang, I was thinking of making him run around the village till I was bored. But for this, and turning my favorite jacket pink, I think doing it for an entire week should be fine. How about you? Anko grinned, and nodded, liking the sound of that more and more. As for the smell, we both know how to get that off, just like you do a regular skunk smell, though we don't have time to do it just yet. With both of these things on us, and the time he has, I think we only have one thing to do. Anko frowned, knowing what Ibiki was going to recommend, and not liking it. Yeah, I guess our little brother has finally grown up, huh? Never thought I would see the day that he would be able to best both of us at the same time. Damn it, I hate this. Anko was saddened by the thought. She hated to admit it, but he was growing up, and becoming a great man, as well as on the way to being a great ninja. He would achieve his dream, all he had to do was keep doing what he was doing now. After wiping a few tears from her face, and spreading the pink paint, she nodded to Ibiki. Alright, Naruto, you win, come on out. The test is over. Ibiki yelled it out, his voice not betraying a single emotion. Each word delivered calmly, even though he was yelling. Ibiki and Anko both stood in the now bright pink clearing, waiting for their little brother to show up. After about 5 minutes, Anko caught the sight of the air waving slightly in front of her. The spot continued to do this for several seconds before a now smiling Naruto appeared in front of her. Naruto had a large grin plastered onto his face as he looked up at Anko and Ibiki. Yeah, laugh it up, Chuckles. You may have won this time, all due to your damn paint, stink bomb combo, but next time it won't be so easy. Now come here. Anko grabbed Naruto and gave him a big hug, then put him in a very tight headlock. Now, why not tell me how you get this paint out of my hair, and off my clothes? If not, then don't plan on having any free time till this crap it out of my hair, skin, and clothes. You hear me? Naruto nods his head as best as he could from his current position. Oh yeah, one other thing, you see, I don't think it is fair that I should be the only one with pink hair in our little family. So, before Naruto knew what was happening, Anko had him upside down by his legs, and was using his hair to clean up what was left of the pink paint. Naruto struggled and tried to fight his way out of his current position, but failed miserably. Ibiki was laughing as he looked at the sight of a pink-haired Naruto. There you punk, now we're even. Naruto grumbled and mouthed a few choice words in Anko's direction. Alright kids, let's get going, and get cleaned up. Naruto, you have class soon, so you might want to hurry up. Don't let everyone know you like Sakura so much you just had to have the same hair color. How could he say something like that? I hate that girl. She is so damn bossy to everyone. Ino isn't any better either. Naruto had tried to be nice to her, and he thought she would be the same way since they had met in the playground that day 5 years ago. But it seemed her parents just didn't care too much for him, much like many others in the village. Naruto stared at Ibiki, stunned. Anko and Ibiki both knew how much he hated Sakura, and they could see why. The girl was bossy, probably more so than Anko could be. He often heard Anko and Ibiki talking at night, wondering what girls he really liked. They both thought Ino and Sakura were the only ones possible, since they were so much like Anko, and they believed he would find someone similar to his Ne-chan to like. The truth was, Naruto didn't like any girls right now. He had friends, who were girls, but nothing more than that. Besides, most of the girls at the academy, along with mostly everyone else, didn't like him too much. He knew some of it had to be from the parents, and some of it was probably his own doing. Naruto loved playing tricks, and doing all kinds of practical jokes. From putting glue in chairs, to paint bombs in desk drawers, and some lockers. Add the fact that when something went wrong, and he had nothing to do with it, he couldn't protest his innocence before everyone was yelling at him. Most of the time, those in the class that knew he didn't do it, would still just laugh at him, and not try to help him. That is not to say he didn't have some friends, who just liked to hang around with him to learn how to sneak out of class, and do other things. One was Inuzuka Kiba, who laughed at Naruto more than he did anything else. He only came to Naruto when he wanted to help with some jokes, or wanted to sneak out of class. Naruto was more than willing to do this, even if he was cruel to him at times. All Naruto wanted was some friends his own age after all. So he would put up with anything, given the chance to have a friend for a few minutes. Another was Akamichi Choji, who never really picked on Naruto, just enjoyed laughs along with him at times, and didn't have enough courage at times to stand up to people when they accused him of things. Choji wasn't a bad guy, just lacked some self-confidence. Naruto figured this had a lot to do with the way people made fun of him because of his size. Naruto found out that the Akamichi clan fought using special jutsus that utilized the size of their bodies. So they would eat large amounts of food regularly, since that is where they would get their energy, and it would help them during fighting. Oftentimes Naruto would stand up for Choji, and get into a few brawls to try to keep people from picking on him. Choji would let Naruto know that he didn't have to do such things, but Naruto always tell him later, "What are friends for? I can't let someone pick on someone I consider a friend. If I did, I would be trash, maybe worse than trash." Choji still couldn't believe that someone could be that nice to him, since the only person he knew that didn't care about his size was Shikamaru. That brought Naruto to one of his other friends. Nara Shikamaru. He was normally a quiet boy, who seemed to be pretty smart. He was always complaining about how troublesome things were, and would often spend his time in class much like Naruto, daydreaming, or sleeping. What brought them together was when Shikamaru saw Naruto in a fight with a bunch of older kids who had just insulted, and tried to fight with Choji. Naruto was outnumbered, about 7v1, and was still holding many back away from Choji, and taking enough beating to make most people give up. Naruto didn't though, and when Shikamaru saw this, he quickly went to help, using his family's special techniques. After that fight, all three went home with more than a few bruises, and a newfound friendship between the three. After a while, Choji, Shikamaru, and Naruto quickly became good friends, and would often spend time playing around after school, or just sitting and watching the clouds. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts as they came to the front of their house. After living here for 5 years already, Naruto still could not get used to the place. It was far bigger than anything he had ever lived in. It was just a little bigger than the academy, though not as many rooms. The entire first floor at the front of the house was nothing but one huge dojo, with rooms for both boys and girls to take showers after training. The dojo was covered all in tatami mats. The walls were lined with a wide range of weapons, from shuriken and kunai, to naganatas and katanas. On both sides of the dojo was a long hallway that led to the back of the house. Along the hall was the separate guest rooms, 8 in total, running the length of the first floor. Each room had a queen-size bed, and their own private bathrooms, equipped with showers and bathtubs. From here the guests could go to a few separate locations. One was to the kitchen, which you could also get into from the dojo, the dining room, the outside dojo, or the library. The kitchen was almost half the size of the dojo, and had enough room in it for an entire kitchen staff, if there was enough people living there to deserve one. Across from the kitchen was the dining room, which right now only had a single long table in it, when it could hold at least 3 tables, and still have room for people to move around in. The outdoor dojo had a pond in the middle of it, about the size of a large tournament fighting ring, where people could practice water walking, as well as spar on top of it. Around it was an open area, boxed in by an open pathway, where people could watch the sparring sessions while still close to their bedrooms. This was just a little smaller than the indoor dojo. The library was as large as the indoor dojo, and went up 2 stories high. It had staircases, so that people could get to the second story. It had scrolls lining the walls, and small aisles. Each scroll seemed to be a different jutsu, or ideas on weapons, and jutsus. There was also a small section devoted to the history of the continent, which Hikari enjoyed reading with Naruto. Naruto had started his own section in the library, just for his notes and ideas about fireworks, and other explosive ideas. Ranging from grenades, to special notes and scroll, a lot like the one he used on Ibiki and Anko. What was unique about the library was not just all of its contents, but the fact that it had a special seal on the door, that no one knew how to open except for the Sandame at first. He quickly taught Naruto, Ibiki, and Anko how to use it, and he himself was known to come and visit it from time to time since he wouldn't be alone in the house anymore. Behind the library was a storage area, for extra furniture, weapons, food supplies, clothes, and supplies to fix the indoor and outdoor dojo after sparring matches got out of hand. The second floor was designed much like the first, except that in place of the dojo at the front of the house, there was 3 master bedrooms, that went the entire length of the front of the house. These rooms belonged to Anko, Naruto, and Ibiki. Each with their own king-size beds, bathrooms, with walk-in shower, bath, and a small hot tub, walk-in closet, for clothes, as well as a side for weapons, and other tools. Each room also had a small balcony that led to the front of the house, and would allow them to easily go from one room to another. It was also large enough for during good clear weather for people to lay out on them, or as Naruto enjoyed doing, sleeping out on them at night in a hammock, and looking at the stars in the sky. Above the first floor halls, on the second floor were the same as the ones from the first floor. They were furnished just like the other guest rooms, and offered an overhead view of the training field. On the roof of the house was a massive garden, that ran the length and width of the house, with man-made springs, and benches. The same was above the kitchen and dining room. The garden itself was raised up a few feet above the rest of the house, and had all kinds of flowers throughout it. There were roses, tulips, lilies, carnations, daisies, sunflowers, and many types of flowers that Naruto had never seen before. When Naruto asked the Hokage about it, he was told that the fourth, who used to live here, would crossbreed flowers, often making new types. Many of them were breathtaking to look at, and many tended to be more fragrant than some of the perfumes some girls would wear at school. Naruto also found in the library a section devoted to flowers, the raising, growing, and care of them, as well as how to breed them, which he looked through when he was not doing his own work or training. Often he could be found laying in his hammock with scrolls for this laying around him at night, or during the day. The grounds around the house was much like it was inside. Almost right against the house was another garden that circled the entire place, except right in front. So every morning you could wake up to a new scent. This sometimes drove Naruto crazy with his enhanced smell, and more so when there was large amounts of pollen in the air. But he could not bring himself to hate the gardens. The forest started about 30 feet away from the house, giving people a good view of the surroundings, and allowing plenty of light in for the plants to grow. Hurry and get cleaned up, Naruto, you have class in about 40 minutes. Also, why not leave me one of your flash bangs here, so I can show it to the Hokage? I'm sure he is going to love it. Anko had told Naruto on their way back from training that she had a meeting with him this morning, and it was mostly about a mission she might have coming up very soon. She had also asked Naruto if there was a way to avoid being affected by the flash and the sound created by the flash bang. Naruto had ended up telling her he would give her the scroll for how it was designed. In exchange, she would have to buy him a list of things, some gunpowder, and other chemicals for his other ideas. He also needed some supplies to help with his gardening work. So she agreed, as long as she could see what he was using the gunpowder for. Naruto nodded, and ran to his room to get cleaned up. Once out of the shower, he walked into his closet to change into some fresh clothes. He had gotten used to his usual style of clothes, with black BDU pants, and jacket, with a flame red orange yellow design, and the swirl on the back. Today though he wanted to do something different, to remember his victory over his sister and brother. So he stood in the middle of the closet, which also happened to be in front of a large body mirror. Naruto took a quick look at himself in the mirror. He was a lot taller than he used to be, almost 5 feet tall, mostly due to his workouts, and his diet that Ibiki and Anko had him on. He was able to just about anything he wanted while at school, but when he got home there was a strict hold on what he was allowed to eat. They had informed him that eating certain things could cause him to stunt his growth, and be much shorter than some of the others in his class. He weighed somewhere close to 125 pounds, again mostly due to his constant training, and the diet that he has been on since he started the academy. One of the few times he was allowed off of his diet was at school, or on special occasions, like his birthday, or other holidays. He still had scars all across his body from 5 years ago. There was the one large one in the middle of his throat, and several smaller ones there as well. He had one large scar across his back, with several small ones there as well. On his chest, he had one that went from his right, to just below his left one. His arms had several small scars on them as well from that night 5 years ago. Over the years he had gained other scars to add to his collection. Some were from Kaden jutsus that had been used on him, others from kunai, shuriken, senbon, and just about any other pointed object that was within reach of the offenders. Looking at himself, he was reminded how much many in the village hated him. It was hard on him at times, but with Hikari always with him, and Anko and Ibiki waiting for him on most nights, he could handle it most of the time. He also had a few friends in school that he talked to, but never about these things. This was one of the reasons he normally wore long-sleeved shirts, long pants, and a high-collar shirt or jacket. He didn't want anyone's pity, and he didn't want them to know how hard things were for him. He felt some of them had it hard enough already without having to worry about him. This is also why several thought he was born mute, with no one really knowing the true story except for some of the teachers. Some of which used it to take their anger out on him, either by making him responsible for anything that happened, or to hurt his grades with oral tests, which he could never answer the questions for. One teacher that seemed to like Naruto was his regular teacher, Yumino Iruka. He would never give unfair tests like the ones others did, and he understood that Naruto would have a hard time with some things. But when Naruto messed up, or played jokes, he was the first to get on his case, almost like Anko and Ibiki. Iruka was one of the few people, aside from his brother and sister, who could track him down when he didn't use his Kitsune illusion technique. Quickly shaking himself from his daydreams, Naruto grabbed a dark blue turtleneck shirt, with the kanji gen, or illusion on the back of it, along with a small swirl on the right in the front. The kanji was in silver, while the swirl was in red and black. He next grabbed a pair of his BDU pants, with pockets on the thighs, and some down by the calves. Along with a regular black belt, with a swirl at the front for the buckle. Instead of a jacket today, he grabbed a silver-colored vest, that was nothing more than cloth wrapped around chain mesh for some protection. The vest had small pockets on the front, and little slots inside from kunai or shuriken. He quickly grabbed a pair of his black sandals, and tied his pants tight, and grabbed his scrolls he used for brainstorming during class. Next he grabbed the scroll from the closet that detailed his flashbang, and explained how to avoid the side effects, which was to close your eyes, and plug your ears with your fingers, if you wanted to be close by when it went off. Looking at himself in the mirror again, just to make sure all of his scars were covered, he gave a nod of approval. He was also glad he knew how to get the pink paint out of his hair, and left to give Anko the scroll, and head to the academy. As he ran by her, he tossed the scroll and continued on his way to the academy. Before he went too far, Anko called out, "I'm not sure if I will be back tonight or not, it depends on the mission the Hokage has for me. If I'm not back, you know what to do. Ibiki won't be here, so behave yourself. If I don't have to leave right away, we might be able to grab dinner or lunch before I have to go." Naruto nodded, and waved as he continued through the forest. Naruto went through the city, and stayed to the rooftops, not wanting to get into any arguments with the villagers, and the numerous kids who always wanted to pick fights with him. Normally when he does this he gets to the academy just before class starts. Today though, his timing was just a little off. As Naruto walked into the room, he noticed Iruka standing at the front, and taking roll. "Nice of you to join us, Naruto. Go ahead and take your seat, we will handle your punishment for being late during the break." Naruto nodded, and went to his favorite spot in the back right of the room, where no one else would sit but him, Shikamaru, Choji, and the ever-shy Hyuga Hinata. As he was heading to his seat he could hear the remarks of several people. Ino and Sakura was laughing about him being late again, and how he must be stupid to wear so many clothes when it was hot outside. Kiba was too busy talking to Akamaru, his pet dog, about something. He noticed Shino was talking to one of his bugs. What they could be talking about for so long, Naruto had no idea. He once again heard Ino and Sakura squealing about the person that all girls seemed to like, Uchiha Sasuke. The person in question was sitting in the middle row, against the wall on the right side of the room, showing no emotion as usual, except to give Naruto an arrogant smirk when he noticed Naruto looking at him. If there was anything Naruto hated more than fangirls, it was arrogantes like Sasuke. They always thought they were better than everyone else, and no one was worthy of talking to them. It pissed him off so much, that he had tried several times to clean that smirk off his face. Every time he did, the girls, except for Hinata for some reason, would always jump on him, and ask him why he was being so mean to their Sasuke-kun. For Kami's sake, it drove him crazy how much people thought he was perfect. Some willing to give him anything he wanted, all because he was the last of his family in the village. Most of them didn't know or care that Naruto was the same way, and he was mistreated by just about everyone in the village. So Sasuke was always an annoyance to Naruto. Naruto remembered that day a few years ago. The village was filled with the smell of blood coming from the Uchiha compound. He could also hear the cries of a terrified Sasuke. When Naruto had first heard about what happened, he tried to befriend the boy. But Sasuke didn't want anything to do with him, and still didn't to this day. As Naruto walked up to his seat, he waved to Hinata, Choji, and Shikamaru, who were all seated in the above-mentioned way. Naruto took his seat next to Shikamaru, and waited for his name to be called, and to begin his brainstorming. Finally, Naruto heard, "Uzumaki Naruto." He raised his hand and waved it around, just to be sure Iruka saw it, even though he saw Naruto come into the room. Good. Everyone is here today. So let's begin today's lesson, which will be history, in which we will be discussing the events of 10 years ago, how the Yondaime defeated the Kyuubi. Great. I get to hear how my Nei-chan was defeated, and killed, when she is actually inside of me, and the whole story is not even known by everyone in the room. Good thing I don't plan to listen to this garbage. Naruto looked around him, and noticed that everyone was paying attention, except for a few people. Ino and Sakura was again giggling about Sasuke, while Shino talked with his bugs. Hinata had quickly turned her head away, and had a faint blush on her cheeks when Naruto looked over at her. She acts so strange when I look at her. Hikari could only shake her head, and made a mental note to talk to him more about girls and boys when he got old enough to understand those things. He noticed Choji was already started on his third bag of chips, and Shikamaru had his head down, trying to catch some more sleep. Naruto reached into his pocket, and pulled out his scroll, and started to brainstorm more ideas. I wonder, on my frag grenade, if I changed it from Makebishi to kunai or shuriken, would it be any better? Wait, I could try it with Senbon, shuriken, or kunai, but it will be pretty big. So what about changing the shape of the object, maybe like a Naruto. Don't tell me you're sleeping again. Crap. That was all he thought when he heard Iruka's voice coming towards him, handing out papers. He quickly shook his head no as Iruka came to his row, and passed some papers down. Good, because I wouldn't want you to miss this test we are about to take. Hopefully you will do better on it than your last one. Naruto groaned as he heard laughs coming from the rows of desks below him. Naruto could hear Shikamaru shaking his head, and he saw a sad look come across Hinata's face. Shikamaru passed his test to Naruto, and everyone started. God, these tests are so easy. I just don't feel like doing well on them because of how everyone acts. If I did do good, they would say I cheated. Don't worry about it, Odoto. I know you don't cheat, and I'm sure Anko-chan and Ibiki-san would never think that. But just do what you want. We all know the real you. It would even seem that your friends know the real you too. Naruto nodded, and just answered enough of the questions to pass. The rest he just drew a little comic strip on. Majority of the comic was him and Sasuke fighting, with Naruto winning at the end. Alright, Mizuki-sensei will come and pick the tests up. After he has taken them up, you can all go outside for a 30-minute break. Naruto, you stay here, so that we can take care of your tardiness. It didn't take long for the tests to be picked up, and for everyone but Naruto and Iruka to leave the room. Naruto walked down to the front of the room and Iruka's desk. Naruto, why were you late, again today? I know Anko and Ibiki would give you enough time to get here. Naruto sighed, and walked to the chalkboard to write out his excuse. We had one of our early morning sparring matches. This time though it was both of them after me. So about an hour into the session, with me running around, waiting for an opening, I used something new that I made. After that I hid, and gave them a new scroll I had worked on too. It contained a paint and stink explosive note. The smell would come off as easy as a skunk, but the paint was bright pink, like Sakura's hair, very annoying and hard to miss. Once I did that, there was nothing they could do to hide. I would smell them, or see them easily. So they gave up, and told me I won. Then we walked back home, and I forgot all about school. When we got home, I had to tell Ibiki Aniki, and Anko Nei-chan how to get the paint out of their hair and clothes before I was allowed to shower. So I did, and was reminded about school. I showered, and changed quickly, and gave my notes on how to make my newest invention to Anko-chan, since she had a meeting with the Hokage today. After that I hurried, but still managed to just be a little late. Sorry, Iruka-sensei. Iruka nodded, and could understand the situation. Naruto lived in the farthest place away from the academy, almost the complete opposite of where the academy was. For him to get here at the times he did, he had to be moving pretty fast. But it was expected he might be late sometimes, but it still did not mean Iruka could let him slide. I understand, Naruto, but late is late. I can't let you off, not since this isn't the first time it has happened. So I think a fitting punishment would be to air out the erasers. I mean, it is not like you could fly or anything, so you might be a little late like this from time to time. Just try not to make it too big of a habit, okay? Naruto nodded his head, and let Iruka know he would do it after school. By this time the break was over, and everyone was returning to the room. Hokage's office. Sorry about being late, Hokage-sama. Me and Ibiki had a morning test with Naruto. No need to worry, Anko, and please don't say Sama, it makes me feel older each time someone says it. I suppose though, Naruto wasn't too pleased with his test this morning. Here Anko let out a small growl as she remembering the flash bang, and the paint, stink explosive notes. Oh, I think he enjoyed it a little too much. He got to test out some new ideas on me and Ibiki. One of them I think the ANBU and Hunter Nin would love. The other, well, let's just not talk about it. She paused for a second, and gave the Hokage her best glare as he chuckled at her statement. He made something he calls a flash bang. It creates a bright flash, and a loud sound. Both of them work together to blind and deafen as well as disorientate a person for a short time. The damn thing is very effective, and could be useful when doing raids. He gave me the scroll for it, and I have to say, the brat is getting better at this. But here is the scroll, and here is one of his flash bangs. But I think it is only fair if I do this first. With that, Anko channeled a large amount of chakra into the parchment holding the pin in place, and threw it into the air. The Hokage stared at the device, while Anko hit the floor, and closed her eyes, and plugged her ears. In the next second, and loud bang was heard, and a bright white flash could be seen outside of the Hokage's window. 5 seconds after that had ANBU running into the room, to only see a laughing Anko, and the Hokage mumbling something about ringing, and a bright light. Anko stopped her laughing long enough to tell the ANBU what happened. It's alright boys, Naruto came up with another little toy for you, and I was showing the Hokage how it worked. Here she looked over at the Hokage, who was rolling around on the floor, and gave him a small cruel smile. As you can see, it is very effective. The results only last a few moments, but if you are looking right at it, it might last longer. By now the Hokage was standing up, and holding onto his desk for support. He looked at Anko and mumbled about kids with too much time on their hands. Yes, I have to remember to tell all stores to not sell him any more gunpowder. This one would be perfect for ANBU members, and for doing raids on bandit camps. It would be useful for the Hunter Nins as well, since it could help them detain or surprise new cannons easier. Next time though, Anko, give me a warning before you pull a stunt like this. You are dismissed. The last line was directed towards the ANBU gathered in the room. Now Anko, how about that mission you are here for? It is going to be an A- class spy mission, one that you could use Naruto on to help your cover. You will be going to Water Country, and look for information on the new cannon, Momochi Zabuza, and his group. The reason for this is that we are trying to create a stronger alliance with the Mist Village, and they would like help in tracking down Zabuza. Should you find him, you are not to confront him unless there is no other choice. It is unknown how strong his group is now, so be careful, finished Sarutobi. Hokage, are you sure I should bring Naruto along for this? It sounds like it could get a little dicey, and I don't want him to get hurt, asked a worried Anko. I understand, but you will probably be going into the village as a sister and brother traveling. You may have to change your hair color though, as you are in some bingo books. Having Naruto along would only make the disguise that much better. I know how hesitant you are about placing him in danger, but this time I think it is truly needed. Should things go wrong, he can hide, and run to get help from the nearby mist village. He is capable of taking care of himself by now, I'm sure. It may make the difference between success or failure for this mission. As for the village they are suspected of being in, it is a small village that is known for gambling in Water Country. It is also known for the Yakuza of Water Country. This is thought to be the center of their power, and could very well be why Zabuza would be thought to be there. If he could get their help, he might be able to overthrow the Mizukage. So I cannot stress how important this mission will be. Anko couldn't agree more. Everyone knew who Momochi Zabuza was, and what he was famous for. He was the demon of the hidden mist, known for killing an entire graduating class of hopeful mist nins when he was only a child. From there he grew and became one of the 7 shinobi swordsmen of the mist village. He was also known for trying to lead a coup against the Mizukage some years ago. Since then he has been on the run from mist hunter nins. Little else is known about what he has been doing since then. He often pops up trying to recruit others to help in his coup, but he always gets run out of the villages and cities by hunter nin coming after him. I understand, sir, and I think I will take your advice on Naruto. Who knows, he might get a chance to use some of his new weapons. Though I hope there is a very slim chance he will be needed to fight. I know Anko, and I would never ask this of you if I didn't think the both of you could handle it. Many of the others I would send on this mission would be easier to spot, so I am left with very few people to depend upon. I trust you, and I know Naruto will not let us down. You need to leave as soon as possible, since Water Country is across the sea. So please, take this note, and it will allow Naruto to be excused from the academy for the next few weeks, until the mission is completed. Thank you, and hopefully it won't be that long. With that Anko took the note, and headed towards the academy. She knew they would be getting out for lunch soon, and that was when she planned on talking with Iruka, and taking Naruto home to get packed. Meanwhile in the classroom, Naruto was not in a good mood right now. He had just planned on talking with the few friends he had during this break, when some upperclassmen decided to come in and mess with him. The first thing they did was shove Hana out of the way, and made her fall and hit her head against the wall. They then shoved Choji out of the way next, telling him to move his fat, which was a taboo phrase around Choji. The final thing they did was shove Naruto against the desk, causing him to scribble across his scroll. To make things worse, they decided to insult him. Ah, what's wrong, baby, have a problem? Not going to speak up for what we did to your buddies? Some friends they are. One is a shy girl who would die on her first mission, the other would be lucky to outrun a snail. Then we have a mute, who doesn't even deserve to be a ninja, let alone be in this academy. Another kid spoke up next. Yeah, I mean, what were your parents thinking when they put you in here? Oh yeah, that's right, you have no parents. They probably dumped you off on those 2 jonins you are always hanging around. I'm sure they don't want anything to do with you, and just took pity on you. Naruto had had enough by this time. He rolled up his scroll, and put it in one of his pockets before turning to the 3 upperclassmen behind him. He looked over to Choji, who looked sad, and pissed. He was shaking, and Naruto knew it was from him trying to hold back his anger, and keep from crying at the way they were acting. He next looked at Hinata, who had tears forming in her pale white eyes. She was holding the back of her head where she had hit the wall, and didn't look to be all that well. From sadness at the way they were talking about her, Choji, or Naruto, he didn't know. She always seemed to care about how others were treated. What he did know was that he could stand people insulting him, but when they made his friends cry, or insulted his friends, he couldn't take it. So waving his hands he got Choji's and Hinata's attention. He motioned for them to move, and try to get a teacher. Choji nodded, and went to help up Hinata. Hinata wasn't too sure about what Naruto wanted them to do though. The people doing all this were 2 years older than them, and ready to take the Genin exam. She didn't want to leave Naruto there alone, but she also thought she would only get in his way. So she followed Choji as he helped her up, and they left to get a teacher. Haha, your friends have even left you. I guess they see how worthless you really are. So maybe we will do them a favor, and just beat the crap out of you, that way they wouldn't have to see you for a few weeks. Nei-chan, I have to do this. I hope you don't get mad at me. I would be disappointed in you if you didn't, Naruto-kun. I don't think Anko and Ibiki would be angry with you either. Just be careful, and don't go overboard. Naruto nodded his head before he slipped into a defensive stance. Once in the stance, he raised his left hand in front of him, and flipped all 3 of the boys off. So you want to fight with us? You are going to wish you ran, you mute bastard. When the boy shouted this, everything seemed to stop. People stopped talking, and playing games. All heads turned to where the fight was about to break out. The first boy, who had black hair, charged at Naruto, fist raised, ready to hit him with everything he had. When the boy swung his fist at Naruto, he sidestepped the punch, and grabbed the boy's wrist. The boy was stunned, and didn't know what had happened as Naruto used the boy's own momentum to flip him over onto his back. From there, Naruto placed his right foot on the boy's chest, and pulled his arm as hard as he could and quickly dislocated the shoulder, causing the boy to scream out in pain. By this time, the other 2 had begun to move towards Naruto. One with dark brown hair, the other with red hair. The brown-haired boy jumped into the air and spun, intent on sending a kick to Naruto's head. The other boy went low, hoping to take his legs out. Right as the first boy's kick was about to connect, Naruto grabbed the boy by the ankle, and turned his body out of the way. As he did, he continued the boy's spin, and his own, throwing the boy face first into the wall behind him, and causing him to crumple down to the ground. By this time the second boy's sweep had connected, and knocked Naruto down to the ground. The boy tried to follow up by dropping his heel down into Naruto's stomach, but missed when Naruto rolled out of the way, and towards the right side of the room, and right against the wall. Naruto stopped his roll, and kicked up off of the ground to face the red-haired boy. Damn you, you got lucky by taking them out. I'm not going to go easy on you. I was one of the best at taijutsu in our class, so I hope you are ready to get your kicked. The boy followed his remark with a straight punch to Naruto's head. Naruto went to duck, only to see the punch as a feint, as the boy brought his knee up and hit Naruto in the face. From there he brought his elbow down, and into the back of Naruto's head. Naruto was stunned by the force of both hits, and was trying to regain his thoughts and think of something to do. Before he could do anything, the boy once again grabbed Naruto's head, and went to ram it into his fast-rising knee. Naruto had had enough. He grabbed the boy's arms, and channeled chakra into his feet, and jumped. His jump quickly took him above the knee, and over the boy's head. The entire time, Naruto had the boy's arms firmly in his hands, and brought them over with him. Once over the boy's head, and both feet planted, and locked the arms up, and put the boy into a sleeper hold. Damn you, let me go. The boy kept hollering, and struggling, until he slowly started to black out, and his body went limp. Naruto placed him down on the floor, and was about to turn around. That was when a chair hit him in the back, and sent him towards the window he was in front of. Before Naruto could stop himself, he was already going through the window of their third-story classroom. The only thing he heard aside from the gasp of some of the students in the room, and the glass shattering, was 4 voices. Naruto-kun. Naruto. He knew who they were: Hinata, Iruka-sensei, Shikamaru, and Choji. Had just come rushing into the room in time to see the brown-haired boy swing a chair and hit Naruto out of the window. Outside, Anko was sitting under a tree peeling an apple, and enjoying watching the little kids play around in the playground. That was until she heard the sound of glass breaking, and heard a voice holler, "Naruto-kun." She dropped the apple, and kunai she was using, and looked to where the noise came from. She saw a boy coming out of the window, with bright blonde hair, and a silver vest over a dark blue shirt. Naruto. Anko ran over to where he was falling, with glass all around him, hoping that she could make it there before he hit the ground. Everything seemed to slow down as she tried to run as fast as her body could go. She slowly saw the surprised look run across his face as he came out of the window, and towards the ground below. She next saw the look turn from surprised to pissed. In the blink of an eye, she looked at his bright blue eyes, saw how angry he was. She saw his pupils go from rounded to slits. The next thing she saw surprised her the most. Naruto quickly tucked his body, and spun it around so that he had righted himself in the air, and continued his fall. She could see him brace for the impact, and channeling chakra into his legs to lessen it. Once Naruto hit the ground, he could feel the pain flow into his legs. That was the last thing on his mind. Bastards. Cheap shot with the chair, I'm going to tear him a new hole for that. With those thoughts he channeled chakra once more into his legs, and with all the force he could muster, he jumped. He jumped back up towards the window, and that damn boy who used a chair on him. Anko looked on in shock as she saw him land, and leaped back towards the window he had just fallen out of. All of this happened in under 10 seconds, and everyone was left looking at shattered glass across the ground outside of the school. Very few registering what had just happened. Back in the classroom, everyone was stunned at seeing Naruto knocked out of the window by the chair. No one could say anything, and the only sound was a sobbing Hana, and the sound of some glass hitting the floor. The boy with what was left of the chair turned around to see Iruka, Choji, Shikamaru, and Hana. Shikamaru was starting to go through some hand seals, and Choji was making a fist. Hana was sobbing softly, and Iruka was stunned at what he had just seen. What they all saw next surprised them even more. Naruto came flying back through the window, and gave the brown-haired boy a kick to the right side of his head, with all the force he could put into it. The result was the boy being sent down the stair-like desks, crashing into, and through several desks, until he finally stopped at the bottom level below the chalkboard. Naruto stood where he was, and slowly lowered his leg down to the ground, taking deep breaths to calm himself. Iruka was the first to recover, and walked over to Naruto. Naruto, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere, cut or anything? Everyone in the room just stood there looking at the scene before them. Hana was calming down, but still had tears in her eyes. Choji was looking back and forth from Naruto, to the path of destruction his kick had done. Shikamaru was doing the same, with his hands frozen in the seals he had been in the process of doing. Naruto nodded his head to Iruka, and turned around so he could look him over. Are you sure you are okay, Naruto? You did just get knocked out of a window, and hit by a chair. Gah, he sounds like he is in shock, when I should probably be the one. How often do you see someone bounce back in from a window they just fell out of, and send a person flying through the room? I guess you're right, but still, I wish they would quit staring at me, not like they shouldn't be able to do the same thing if they want to be ninjas. Naruto spun around when he heard glass crunching, and saw Anko standing on the windowsill looking at him. Naruto, are you okay? Who did that? What the hell happened? Iruka came rushing out of her mouth the second she stepped into the room. Naruto ran over to her, waving his hands, and trying everything he could to get her to calm down. Finally taking a few deep breaths, Anko calmed down, and looked around the room. She noticed two boys down on the floor, one holding his right shoulder, screaming about the pain. The other looked like he was asleep down on the floor. All of the class was looking up towards her and Naruto. Some were looking down at the chalkboard, where another boy was laying, obviously knocked out, and drooling on the floor. Anko followed the path the boy took to get to his current position, and saw it lead back up to where Naruto had been standing before. She saw Iruka checking on the boys on the ground right by them, and Naruto's friends looking at Naruto. She noticed the girls had been crying, and was getting herself back under control. The boys still looked a little surprised, but not as much as the rest of the class. Naruto, what happened? Anyo. Anko-sama. Naruto and us were just sitting here when these three upperclassmen came into the room. At the time Mizuki-sensei and Iruka-sensei were out of the room. They came in and threw Hinata against the wall from her chair, and pushed me out of the way as they went towards Naruto. Shoji was speaking up to tell the story, or what he knew of it, to Anko. When they got to Naruto, they shoved him against the desk, and made him mess up some of what he was writing. They started saying some cruel things to him, about me and Hinata and Naruto. They were making fun of us, and then they said something about his parents. Anko raised her hand to stop him there and nodded. She had heard about how short-tempered Naruto could be at times, more so when it came to that subject. People always said Ibiki and herself were just taking pity on him, and looking after him. She didn't know what was said about the Hyuga heir, or the Akamichi, but she knew how Naruto could react to people making fun of his friends, or saying others pitied him. Thanks Choji, I don't need to hear anything else, unless someone could tell me how the fight went. Anyo, WEL left to get help for Naruto-kun. When we got back we had seen him get hit with the C chair and follow out the window. Hinata had barely finished before tears started to form in her eyes again, remembering what had happened. Yeah, I'm sorry Anko-san, I didn't get here sooner, but I had to handle Kiba, who was caught trying to peek into the girls' restroom. I tried to get back as soon as I heard about what was going on. By that time it was too late. I was about to grab the boy when Naruto came back into the room, and sent him to the front of the class with one hell of a kick. Anko nodded, and noticed Naruto over at a desk with some paper. She walked over just as he was turning around, and handed the paper to her. Taking it, she looked it over, and read it once. After she had read it once, her eyes narrowed, and she read it again, just to be sure she read it right. After reading it a second time, she let out a low hiss. Iruka, you better get those boys out of my sight, and probably to the nurse to get checked out, now. Her voice was slowly rising as she talked till it was finished with a final shout that made everyone jump. Shino, Sasuke, come up here and help gets these boys to the nurse's office. Kiba, you help. He looked down at the boy by the chalkboard as he was about to finish to see Naruto was picking the boy up, and heading out the door with him. Why do we have to clean up the Dobi's mess? He should clean this up himself. Came from Sasuke as he walked over to the unconscious boy. As he was about to pick the boy up, he was caught off guard as he was jerked up by the collar of his shirt, and brought face to face with a very angry Anko. Listen up you Uchiha bastard, if I ever hear you talking about Naruto like that again, you will regret it. Do you understand? Sasuke just HMPHED, liked he didn't have a care in the world. Anko-san, please let him go, I will deal with him myself later. They need to get the boys to the nurse so she can take a look at them. By that time Shino had the boy with the dislocated shoulder up, and walking out towards the door with him. Anko dropped Sasuke, and walked over to Iruka. Fine, but I stand by my word. Now if you don't mind, I need to get Naruto, and leave. As she said this last part she handed the scroll from the Hokage to Iruka, and walked out of the room towards the nurse's office. God, no wonder Naruto misbehaves so much, living with someone that acts like that, and wears pretty much nothing but a jacket, like some brothel worker, it's no wonder he is bad at everything. By now some of the students were talking about what happened, and the aftermath. Right now Ino and Sakura were busy talking. Yeah, I mean how could she be that way to Sasuke-kun? It's not like he did anything wrong. If she should be made at anyone it's Naruto. He probably did something to piss those boys off in the first place. I still don't know how he managed to beat those three boys up though. They must not be as good as they thought if a loser like Naruto could do that to them. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, forehead girl. If that is all the current graduating class has, then I feel sorry for them. Hinata was becoming angry where she was standing, and so was Shikamaru, and Choji. Hey Ino, you didn't hear the things they said to us. They said Hinata would probably die on her first mission, and they called me the F word. Then they wanted to make fun of Naruto because he couldn't talk. The same way you two do at times, Sakura. They were doing what you two do most of the time, making fun of him for stupid reasons. The only difference is that they hurt both Hinata and me. You two didn't see Naruto tell us to leave so that we could get some help, and not for Naruto, for those boys. You guys don't know anything about him like we do. So shut up. I don't care if our families are close friends, Ino, but don't you ever make fun of Naruto again. Bellowed Choji, Hinata and Shikamaru nodding in agreement. Ino was surprised to see Choji acting this way. She could hear the emotion his voice carried, the sadness, anger, and hate. She had never heard him talk like this before. Alright class, that's enough. I don't want to hear anything else about this. Go ahead and take your lunch break, and meet up outside at the targets. The rest of class today is going to be done outside. If anyone sees Shino and Sasuke, be sure to tell them. Everyone slowly left the room, except for 3 people, Choji, Hinata, and Shikamaru. They walked up to Iruka, hoping to find out what Anko wanted with Naruto. Iruka-sensei, why was Naruto leaving school early today? It's not like this was his fault or anything. I know Shikamaru, but Anko has something important she needs to do. I think she was letting Naruto know, and probably taking him home so he could calm down some. I don't know what was said, but it obviously made both of them very angry. Iruka-sensei. Anko-san left these. Choji walked up to Iruka, and handed him the papers that Naruto had given to Anko, and that Anko had crumbled up and dropped as she left to get Naruto. Thanks Choji. Now why don't you 3 hurry on to eat your lunches? I will take care of everything here. I'm sure Naruto would want you to do that, and not worry about him. I promise he is in no trouble for what happened though. Those 3 will probably get a rather stiff punishment for their actions. One might even get kicked out of the academy, depending on what the disciplinary board decides. Bowing, Hinata, Shikamaru and Choji all left to enjoy their lunch period. After they had left, Iruka read over the papers, which seemed to give a very detailed explanation on what happened, and what Naruto thought. It also seemed to show that Naruto was showing some restraint in his actions, except for that final kick at the end. I guess I should hold on to these. I hope the board will understand this, and not decide on some crazy idea that Naruto was the cause of this somehow. With that Iruka pocketed the papers, and started on his own lunch while grading tests. At Naruto's home, well, that is the mission the Hokage has given us, Naruto. I'm not going to force you to go along. If you don't want to, you don't have to, it is completely up to you. Naruto looked at her like she was crazy for a second there. Of course I want to do this mission. It is better than staying here and putting up with those idiots. At least this time I can see a place I've never been to before. Naruto nodded his head to Anko, letting her know he did want to do this mission with her. Alright then, pack up your things, and get some clothes that don't show we are from the leaf. Remember, it is a spy mission, so we can't let anyone know where we are from. Pack up some of your flashbangs, and other things, we might need them if things get rough. Then come to my room with some of that special paint of yours. I'm going to have to change my hair color. What do you think? How would I look with blonde hair? Naruto laughed at the thought, and nodded to her. After all, they were going to be posing as brother and sister. After that, he ran to his room to pack up his clothes, and other things he would need. In place of his regular clothes, he put in regular pants that a farmer or someone living in the forest would wear. His shirts were all white, and had nothing special about them. He also grabbed some regular sandals to wear while they were on their trip. All of his packing took him very little time. After he was done, he grabbed some of his special paint that would turn a person's hair blonde, for an indefinite amount of time. The only way to change it back was with a solvent that he also kept with him just in case. Out of all of the grenades, and other explosives, he packed 5 Makibishi frag grenades, 6 paint grenades, all in different colors, 6 paint stink bombs, 6 flash bangs, 10 explosive notes, 3 explosive pouches. He also brought along his things to try out other designs he was working on, including the modified frag grenades, and something new he thought up in class when he heard about the jutsus Kumo nins used. After quickly changing Anko's hair, and packing some food supplies, and leaving a note for Ibiki, the two left heading towards their destination in Water Country. 3 weeks later. They had been traveling for 3 weeks, and were already wishing the mission was over, Naruto more than Anko. Currently they were on a ship heading towards Water Country, and Naruto had found out he got seasick easily. Right now he had his head over the starboard side of the ship, puking whatever was inside of his stomach at the time. Oh, I hate this. I wish we didn't have to cross by boat. Why couldn't these people live someone closer to the mainland? Kami, this sucks. Hikari was listening, and watching with a smirk on her face. How could the future Hokage, and the greatest ninja of the leaf be seasick so much? Going to be hard becoming the Hokage if you can't handle a little boat ride. Shut up. Not like I can help it. The longest boat ride I've ever been on was just to get to Wave Country, and that was a short one compared to the week to 2 week one we are on now. Kami, why do these waves have to be so big? Here he quickly hung his head overboard again, and emptied his stomach once again. Anko was watching all of this and taking a few photos for their ever-growing photo album. She hated seeing him like this, but there was little she could do. Naruto, why don't you come back inside? You wouldn't want to fall overboard, would you? Naruto shook his head, and started to head back in. Sorry Masaki-chan, I'm just a little seasick. Maybe if I tried to lay down and get some sleep I will be okay. Due to being in some bingo books, Anko had adopted a new name for this mission, as well as a style of dress. She had on regular sandals, just like Naruto, and for pants she had on a pair of baggy tan pants, that went all the way down to her ankles. Her shirt or dress in this case, was almost the same style of dress that Sakura wore, except as was a darker shade of red. She had her hair up in the usual way she did. She also had on a jacket, which she kept several weapons hidden in the sleeves, just in case. She nodded, and led Naruto back to their cabin, and hoped he would be alright for the rest of the trip. Back at the academy. Man, I wonder where Naruto is, he's been gone for almost 3 weeks now. I hope everything is alright, said Choji as they were sitting down at their regular place for lunch. Since they meet, Hinata, Shikamaru, Choji, and Naruto would all have lunch together underneath a large pine tree at the back of the schoolyard, close to the forest. A lot of the time it would be Choji doing most of the talking, with nods from everyone else. The rest of the time Shikamaru would be busy looking up at the clouds from his spot on the ground. Hinata would be sneaking glances at Naruto, who would be hanging upside down from a branch above with his legs wrapped around it. Man, Naruto sure is being troublesome. I hope this isn't all because of what happened 3 weeks ago. Iruka-sensei said he wasn't in any trouble, but when we ask him about Naruto, he always sends us off to do things. I know, but what else can we do? I haven't seen his sister anymore since that day either. I've seen his brother, Ibiki, but he scares me to death. Maybe we could go by his house or something, and see if he is there. Sounds like a good idea, Choji, except I have no idea where he lives. How about you? Dang, I never bothered to ask him really. I know he always comes in smelling like the forest, but that doesn't help much. Any ideas on how we could find out? Iruka-sensei might know, but he seems to be careful on what he says about Naruto's life. I wonder what could be so special about where he lives. Anyo. I think I know where he lives. Often when Naruto wasn't around, Choji and Shikamaru noticed Hinata wouldn't stutter as much, at least not in short sentences. Cool. How did you find out Hinata? What did you do? Follow him home one day? Hinata blushed when Choji said this, and brought her head down, and her hands up and started poking her index fingers together. Haha, you really did, Hinata, seriously. Wow, I'm surprised, who would have thought you could do something like that? I mean, I could see Ino and Sakura doing it to Sasuke, but I'd never expect you to do that with Naruto. Hinata's cheeks were getting brighter and brighter with the passing seconds as Choji continued. Ah, enough, Choji, you're being as bothersome as Naruto is at times. Since you know where he is, Hinata, how about leading us there tomorrow after we are done for the day? We shouldn't do it today, since we won't know how long we will be gone. Going tomorrow will give us a chance to tell our parents about it tonight. How does that sound? Choji and Hinata both nodded in agreement, and went back to their lunches. 1 week later, Naruto and Anko had been in the village for almost half a week now, and had heard very little about where Zabuza was, and what he was planning. They had heard about, and seen numerous missing mist nins walking around in the forest, and through the fog surrounding the small village. Right now Naruto was in their room at an inn called the Gambler's Corner, for the small casino downstairs. It also had a large bar area where they could get their meals, which is where they gathered most of the information so far. Anko would go down, and listen at the bar, and in the casino. She knew liquor had a way of letting tight tongues slip, and it was only a matter of time before they found something. While she did this, Naruto would wander around the village, almost as if he was sightseeing. He would also walk through the forest, and sometimes caught sounds of swords clashing somewhere in the trees and mist. He wouldn't try to check it out, because that would raise questions to why a kid was out that far by themselves. Tonight though, they had something they were checking to see if it was true. Anko had heard that Zabuza was coming to the village, and meeting with one of the heads of the local Yakuza. They were going to be meeting at a small warehouse at the northern edge of the village. Anko planned on checking it out, but didn't think Naruto should come along. She felt that Naruto wasn't ready for this, and she didn't want to risk anything with this news. So here he was, sitting in the room, and going over his ideas. Every now and then he would look out the window facing the street, hoping to see Anko coming back to the inn. He had a bad feeling, one that had been with him since they heard Zabuza was coming to the village tonight. He was on edge, and he hoped that Anko would be okay. He had been sitting in the same spot, and doing the same things for almost 2 hours now. Anko had left 4 hours earlier. It was almost 1 in the morning, and this feeling was getting worse. I don't like this. I'm about to go looking for her if she isn't back by 1. Naruto stopped what he was doing, and twitched his nose. He walked to the window, opened it, and stuck his head out. He took in a deep breath through his nose, and one thing stuck out in his mind. Blood. That's Nei-chan's blood. She needs my help. Be careful, we don't know how many people there might be. So change clothes quickly, and follow the scent. Over the years Hikari had grown to like Anko and Ibiki, so much so she almost thought of them the same way Naruto did, as a brother and sister. But in her case, they were the younger brother and sisters. She didn't want to see anything happen to them, because she knew it would affect Naruto greatly. He would often have nightmares at night, seeing the village come and attack him. Anko and Ibiki would come to try to save him, only to be attacked by the villagers as well. Often in these dreams, he would see them die before his eyes, as he lay helpless on the ground. Each time, he would wake up silently screaming, and looking around the room, hoping, and praying that it was just a dream. Each time he was relieved to see that it was. Now all of those nightmares came roaring back to the front of his mind, as he thought of what might be happening to Anko. So he quickly changed into his trademark clothes, except he wore a black shirt this time, with the kanji of Sekinan on it. He thought it was his duty to protect those he cared for, and so he decided to wear it around on his back. He thought it was fitting for what he was about to do. He quickly clipped several of his grenades onto his belt and his jacket before he jumped out the window and followed the smell of blood. The smell was coming from the forest, and started at the warehouse where the meeting was supposed to happen. Stopping outside, he listened, hoping he was wrong. There was no sound coming from inside, and he could smell nothing. All the scents followed the trail of blood into the forest behind the building. Naruto quickly followed, moving as fast as he could, while keeping silent. He activated his Kitsune illusion, and tried to push himself to go faster. After traveling for 20 minutes he could hear the sound of fighting, and the smell of blood was heavy in this area. Some of it was Anko's, and the others had to belong to those attacking her. Stopping 20 yards away, he looked in at the clearing to see Anko covered in cuts, and with some Senbon needles sticking out of parts of her legs and arms. Blood was coming from a large cut on her abdomen, and she was facing a boy that looked a year or so younger than Naruto, and a person with a massive sword, and bandages covering his mouth. He wore a mist headband with a scratch across the middle of it. Zabuza. But who is that with him? That was never anything about him traveling with someone that looked like that. Behind Anko there was two people with clawed gauntlets, and breathing masks on. Wait. Those must be the demon brothers, their claws are red. With Anko Nei-chan's blood. They are supposed to have poison on those claws too. Damn, I have to do something. With that thought, Naruto worked his way closer, hoping to hear what was going on better. So, who are you? And why are you spying? I think it would be best for you to tell us, then we could go ahead and kill you. Go yourself, Zabuza. I'm sure you've had your fun with that sword handle before. So go enjoy yourself again. Besides, who would have thought that you would be the pedophile type too? Zabuza, who was the one talking first, yelled and went to attack her once again. Anko knew this would be it. She was took weak from the blood loss, and the effect of the poison. She had managed to fight off most of Zabuza's goons, but numbers played too big of a role. Now she was going to die, and Naruto wouldn't know about it for days. Right when Zabuza was about to bring his sword down, a small metal cylinder fell in front of his face. Anko saw the object, and quickly covered her ears and closed her eyes. Bang! All of the mist nins took the full force of the flashbang as Anko looked around for Naruto. She felt something grab her arm, and spun to see a blur standing there. Naruto dropped the illusion for a second, only to close his eyes in concentration, as he covered Anko in it, and picked her up. He quickly ran towards a small cave he had seen on his way there. Once there he dropped Anko down gently, and did what he could for her injuries. She bandaged up the ones he could, and pulled the needles out of her arms and legs. Nei-chan, stay here, I will try to lead them away, and come back for you. Take these pills, they should help some. I'll be right back. Naruto gave her some blood-clotting pills, blood replenishing, and soldier pills. Anko reached out to stop him, to tell him there was nothing he could do, but he was already gone. The last thing she saw was the kanji on the back of his shirt, Sekinen. Naruto backtracked towards he last saw the four, and listened carefully. He could hear Zabuza yelling at the other three, asking them what happened. None of them knew, and so they decided to follow the blood trail once again. That was when Naruto knew he had to show himself, just to draw them away from the trail. He dropped down on the other side of the clearing and clapped his hands together, drawing the attention of everyone else. Zabuza looked over, expecting to see the blonde-haired female, but only seeing a blonde-haired boy standing there, looking as if he wanted to challenge them all to a fight. Would you look at this Haku, he wants to fight us. What should we do with him? He looks like he is related to that bitch who was here earlier. So maybe we could use him as bait for her. The demon brothers were already making their way towards Naruto. The one Naruto now knew as Haku spoke up. Yes, I think so, Zabuza-san. He might be able to give us information on what they are doing here. Good. Then capture him, alive hopefully, that way we can kill him and the bitch. Hope you're ready to die, bastard. With that, the demon brothers jumped at Naruto, and struck their claws into his chest and abdomen, both smiling. They were both surprised when a cloud of smoke engulfed them. As the smoke cleared, it revealed their claws were stuck in a small log, with some metal thing attached to it. Bang! A second after the Kawarimi happened, one of Naruto's Makebishi frag grenades went off, sending hundreds of small Makebishi flying everywhere. For the demon brothers, it meant having some scent flying into the front of the bodies, and out of their backs, sending spurts of blood flying everywhere. For Zabuza, he used his massive sword as a shield, protecting himself from most of the effects. Haku managed to create an ice shield that stopped all of the Makebishi heading for him. The demon brothers were both on the ground, howling in pain, and unable to move, since many bones were also broken from the explosion, and the small projectiles flying through. Damn it! Haku, find the brat, and kill him. Forget about the information, make him pay. Haku nodded, and jumped into the forest looking for Naruto. No sooner had he left, did Naruto drop down behind Zabuza. Hehe, looks like the brother is dumber than the sister. You should have run when you had the chance. Now you will die. Zabuza spun around with his sword, hoping to cut Naruto in half. Naruto barely managed to dodge the attack as he back-flipped away. He looked on as Zabuza stood there, and started to make some hand signs. Naruto braced himself for what might be coming. Zabuza stopped, and water started to form in the air, and along the ground. The water started to take shape, the shape of Zabuza. Damn, a Mizu Bushin. This is not good, and it sounds like that Haku person is on the way back too. He made a lot of Bushins, so it is going to be hard to see which is him. Naruto started to dodge the attacks of the water clones, some he couldn't dodge, and ended up with large and small cuts along his body. Stopping, Naruto grabbed a hold of a large wound in his side. He had managed to destroy some of the clones, but he was running out of his grenades. He knew his paint and stink bombs would do nothing to help him, so he was saving those. His flash bangs would affect him right now too. He wouldn't have a chance to close his eyes, since he had to dodge attacks, and even if he plugged his ears, it would still affect him. Naruto stopped in his thoughts as something came to his nose. Blood. But this isn't the blood of anyone here. Nei-chan. Haku must have found her. Damn, what am I going to do? Right at that time, Haku dropped into the clearing with an unconscious Anko. Well, looks like we have your sister. Give up, or she dies, was all Zabuza said to Naruto in a cold voice, that only gave away how annoyed he was with Naruto right now. Damn it, I know he is going to try to kill both of us no matter what. What else is there to do though? Naruto started to walk forward, slowly. That was when Hikari spoke to him, and caused him to freeze in mid-step. This might be hard, Ototo, but there is a way to fight them. How? I will do anything to win and protect her. The only way to come out of this and survive would be using my power. I didn't want you to do this so soon, but it is the only way we can save her. Using my power can have some side effects though, even I am unsure of what they might be. Do you still want to do this? She knew the answer before she asked, but she still had to ask him. I can't give up. I can let her die. If I do, I can never become Hokage, or a ninja. I will fight them both, even if it kills me. I will do anything to protect those close to me, just like I was raised to do by her and Ni-chan. Please, let me use your power. With the last thought, Naruto clenched his fist, and looked up at Zabuza and Haku. What they saw in his eyes made both of their blood run cold. Naruto's eyes had turned a blood red, with black slits in the middle. Naruto started to release a low feral growl, the growl of an animal trapped, with nothing else to do but fight to the end. As they watched, they noticed his eyes become more elongated, and his whisker marks on his cheeks becoming darker. His nails grew, and became almost claw-like. His canines grew longer and sharper. What made them stop everything they were doing was the massive surge of chakra that began to pour out of him. A deep red chakra, laced with the strongest killing intent they had ever felt. They were frozen in place from fear. Haku was shaking, and collapsed down to his knees. Zabuza was shaking as well, and only able to hold himself up by using his sword. This child. What is he? I've never felt anything like this before. This killing intent. It's unreal. It's almost as if. Single quote. Before he finished, the chakra swirling around Naruto started to take shape. It started to take the shape of a massive nine-tailed fox. It can't be. The Kyuubi. Damn it. That thing is supposed to be dead, and not sealed in some child. Let my Ne-chan go, and you might leave with your legs attached, was the first things Naruto said in a deep animalistic voice. His wounds were healing quickly. The whole time he was staring Zabuza straight in the yes. Naruto had no idea how he managed to do it, but he did. He spoke for the first time in 5 years. Using this much of my power lets me partially share the body with you. The voice you heard was one of my own. Ha 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 ha. Who would have thought? The demon of the mist frozen in fear. All from a child, the child who is the container for the Kyuubi. Ha ha ha. The demon of the mist against the demon of the leaf. If you want her, come and get her. By now all common sense had left Zabuza, and he was depending upon his anger and rage to see him through. He knew he would die, but if he did, he would take this brat with him. Zabuza ran towards Naruto, who just stood there, waiting. When Zabuza was 5 feet away, Naruto flashed throw a set of hand seals, stopping on the seal for the tiger. As he did, he took in a deep breath, bringing his right hand to his mouth, and forming a funnel. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu. Zabuza could feel it, the heat coming from the boy. He kept going forward, charging as he brought his massive sword around, hoping to get the kill before the jutsu could finish. Right when he was about to connect, a massive ball of flame burst forth from Naruto's mouth, and engulfed Zabuza. Naruto watched as the flames consumed Zabuza. He turned to look over at Haku and Anko. That was when he realized something was wrong. As Naruto turned to look at Haku and Anko, Zabuza appeared behind him, and thrust his sword forward, causing it to erupt out of the front of Naruto's chest, and sending blood flying all across the clearing. Innards also flew by, and some fell down to the ground at Naruto's feet. Mizabushin and Kawarimi, I got careless. Naruto gasped as he looked down and saw the massive blade sticking out of him. I can't die. If I do, they will kill Anko-chan. I can't. I must fight. If I die, they will go with me. Naruto let out a blood-curdling roar as red chakra burst forth from his body, and consumed him. He grasped the blade of Zabuza's sword with his right hand, and the back behind him with his left. With power Zabuza had never seen before, Naruto used such force in twisting the blade that it shattered into 2 separate pieces. Haku was shocked at the power that Naruto seemed to possess, and the extent he was going through to save this person. He must truly care for her. If he is willing to do this to protect someone he cares for and loves. He is truly a great warrior. Zabuza stared down at the parts of his sword, amazed that someone had the power to be able to break his weapon as easily as a twig. He looked back up at Naruto, and could still see the massive hole in his chest as Naruto turned away to face Zabuza once again. Naruto let out another roar, both from pain and the anger he felt for what Zabuza had done. He charged at Zabuza, chakra flying around him, as he raised a clawed hand and brought it down in a flash of chakra. Naruto attack caught Zabuza on the right shoulder, and went down diagonally across his chest to his left side, leaving large gashes in his chest and shoulder. After this attack, Naruto quickly spun around, and delivered a hard kick to Zabuza's head, sending him flying across the clearing and into a large oak. Once Zabuza hit the tree, he collapsed to the ground in a heap, barely able to move one arm up to his chest to try to stop the bleeding. Naruto charged at Zabuza again, intent on delivering the killing blow. So this is how I die. In a forest at the hands of a child, all before I could accomplish my dream. Zabuza closed his eyes, and waited for the final blow. Naruto, don't do it, shouted Anko as she finally woke up and saw him charging across towards a badly wounded Zabuza. Naruto froze in his tracks, his clawed hand inches from sinking into Zabuza's bloodied chest. Don't kill him. If you do, you will be just like him. Please don't. Anko was almost in tears as she saw the condition Naruto was in, and seeing him inches away from making his first kill. All of it while in a rage. It was almost too much for her, even though she knew the life of a ninja meant death and killing at times. Naruto looked at her, the chakra surrounding him starting to die down, and his hands, teeth and face and eyes slowly changing back to normal. As he did, he brought his right hand up to see it covered in Zabuza's blood. Then he felt pain running through his body, and looked down to see a large hole in his chest. He slowly started to collapse down to the ground beside Zabuza as he passed out from chakra exhaustion and blood loss. Haku left Anko where she was, and ran over to Zabuza's side, quickly checking him over, only to find he has also passed out from the massive blood loss. Haku looked down at Naruto. Should I finish him off? No, Zabuza-san needs my help, and I cannot treat him here. I must retreat for now. We can finish this another time. With that, Haku turned to face Anko. I could easily kill you both now. However, Zabuza-san needs my immediate attention, so be grateful, but we will finish this another day. Your brother is truly strong, willing to give his life to protect you at all costs. He will be a great person someday, I can tell that now. With those words, Haku lifted Zabuza onto his shoulders, and walked over to pick up the pieces of his sword before vanishing in a cloud of smoke. Anko slowly rose to her feet, and took several unsteady steps towards Naruto before she finally managed to make it to his side. She knew Hikari would normally heal him, but she had never seen him with such severe injuries before, not even on that night 5 years ago. Naruto, please don't die on me, not now. If you die now, you will miss out on so much. With that, she pulled Naruto onto her shoulders, and climbed to her feet using the tree as support. Once up, she started back towards the village, hoping to get there in time to save Naruto, and herself. Please let me make it in time, I don't know what I would do if he died. With that thought, she tried to hurry back as quickly as possible. Back in the village, a blonde pigtailed woman froze in place at the card table she was sitting at as a massive wave of chakra washed over her. The black hair woman behind her did the same, as they both felt the killing intent mixed with the chakra. Everyone in the room seemed to have felt the hate and will to kill in it as several glasses fell, and shattered on the floor. Waitresses dropped trays, and fell to their knees from the feeling. The blonde woman had only felt something like this once before, and that was 10 years ago, when the Kyuubi had attacked Konoha. I thought it was sealed inside of a child. Could it have broken free? I need to find out. If it has, it might head back towards the village. Shizune, we have to leave. The source of this only belongs to one thing, and it's close by, come. The black-haired woman named Shizune nodded, as she had felt this before, and if it was close by, that could mean many things. They had to find out what happened. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Both women walked out of the gambler's corner, and went in the direction they felt the chakra surge from. In Konoha, the Hokage woke up with a start, as he felt a killing intent so massive, he thought he was under attack. He got up from his desk, and went to the window to look outside. He did not see the scenes of 10 years ago. He saw a peaceful village, with nothing amiss. But still, he felt something was amiss, so he called for one of the guards outside of his office. Yes, Hokage-sama, tell me, did you just feel a chakra surge? No, I can't say I did, is there something wrong? No, nothing, just an old man with jumpy nerves. Thank you, you can leave now. The guard bowed, and closed the door. I know I felt that. There is only one thing that could cause this, and I am afraid of what it means. Blast it, Ibiki is still away, and I don't know who I could trust with this. I can only wait and see for now. Little did the Hokage know that at the same time, people all across the village, and across Fire Country, who had experienced this before were now feeling it once again. Konoha. Iruka watched as the sides to his mug cracked. The mug itself was one he was given by Naruto recently, and read, "Number 1 Sensei," on the sides. So it was fairly new, and shouldn't break from old age. He suddenly remembered one of the bad omens that old men and women spoke of. As he continued to stare at the mug, only one word came to mind: Naruto. A Tofaka guy, homely woman town. A man in red robes, and long white hair froze at the fence he was looking in, and dropped his book and pen. He was trembling at the thoughts that came to him when he felt that chakra wave come by. No, it can't be, it couldn't have gotten free. The last I heard the kid was safe with his adopted family. There is just no way, but then why did I feel its chakra just now? I must go back to Konoha and check. With that final thought the man vanished in a cloud of smoke. Forest in Water Country. Anko was slowly making her way back to the village with Naruto on her back. She was barely able to walk right now, going only off of her hope to get back to the village. The poison was slowly working through her system still, and taking its toll on her. She wasn't sure if she would be able to make it back to the village or not. She fell down to the ground, and Naruto rolled a few feet in front of her. She was panting, and could barely see. When she looked up to check on Naruto, she saw someone coming towards them. She noticed one seemed to have blonde hair, and pigtails. The other looked to have short black hair, and was holding something in her arms. The last thing she did before she passed out was say one word to them with a raspy voice. "Help. Shizune. Check on her. She looks beat up badly. There might be poison in her system by the looks of her skin and mouth. I'll check on the boy." Shizune nodded, and quickly checked over Anko. She noticed she was bandaged up, and even those were soaked in blood. She could tell the woman had lost a great deal of blood, and she showed signs of a strong poison in her system. Shizune quickly started to perform a medical jutsu to heal the wounds of the woman. She healed the major ones quickly, and started to treat her for the poison in her system. She glanced over to where Tsunade was only to see her frozen in shock. Tsunade had rolled Naruto over to check his body for injuries. What she saw surprised her. She saw a blonde-haired boy, with the most amazing blue eyes she had seen once in her life. The boy had what looked like whisker marks on both of his cheeks, and he couldn't be much older than 10. She had only seen 2 other people that looked like this, and as far as she knew both of them were dead. What else shocked her was all of the blood pouring out from the body from a massive hole in the chest. Tsunade froze at the sight of the injury, and the look on the boy's face. He looks so much like them. But he is different. Who is he? Shizune saw the blood pooling around Naruto's body and knew what had caused her sensei to freeze up. Not now. The boy needs help badly. The woman is fine for now, but if we don't do anything for him, he could die. Tsunade-sama, I will take care of him. You can watch over her. She is not injured as badly as him. Shizune went to pull Tsunade away from Naruto's body, only to have her hand shaken off as Tsunade came back to this world, and turned to look at Shizune. Shizune, I will take care of him. It's just. He reminds me so much of people I thought were long since dead. As Tsunade said this, several tears started to roll down her cheeks. It had been a long time since she shed tears this way. Hi Tsunade-sama, I will gather some wood for the night. Tsunade nodded before she quickly did what she could to try to save this young boy's life who reminded her so much of also had a striking resemblance to her former teammate's greatest student. Who is this boy, and why are they out here?